I call the young population of India 18 to 30, which constitutes more than 50% of the population, as our demographic dividend. They are an asset. At the macro level, the judiciary as an institution is being seen as a course corrector, a leveler, a democratizer of sorts. And since it is too well known that our country is on the cusp of an evolution, naturally, it will have implications for the judiciary as an institution also. I would like you to recall that I had mentioned about Hamilton in the beginning of the discourse. While contemplating the US Constitution, he had said, the judiciary is the weakest of the three branches because it neither has the force of the executive nor the will of the legislature, but only judgments. This, and which I agree, he said, was the simple view of the matter. Correct. But there is a complex view also. The complex view is this. And this is something that Hamilton was envisaged and foresaw 2 centuries ago. He had said that while civil liberties will have nothing to fear from the judiciary alone, they will have everything to fear from the union of the judiciary with either of the 2 branches. I would like to believe this is why Ramnath had also said that fierce independence is indeed the bedrock of justice. But I would like to add that independence must always be responsible with due regard to established constitutional values. This institution, the judiciary, is the last bastion of hope and the one that the citizenry believes firmly will give justice to them, come what may. And it has. The judiciary, with whatever little it has at its hand, has been a proud guardian of the great constitutional vision. It fills me with immense pride to see that an institution, as an institution, the judiciary has been endowed with the greatest societal trust. This fact gives it credibility, and this very credibility gives it legitimacy. It is a very enviable spot for an institution. I'll only say that if it wishes to preserve its moral and institutional leverage, the judiciary must remain uncontaminated and independent and fierce and at all times. A chain is only as strong as its weakest link. So is an institution. And if introspection is where we have to begin, we might as well begin there. Perhaps we can hope and endeavor that in the future, it is not our finality, but our infallibility that should define us. It is my imagination of an ideal world, and I am aware of what Carl Jung has said of it. He said, I quote, "Every form of addiction is bad, no matter whether narcotic be alcohol, morphine, or idealism." I don't know how true his views are on alcohol and morphine, but as far as idealism is concerned, I would say it should be pursued like an axiom. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for your patience. Jai Hind.
So let us begin again. I think between shadow and light, noisiness, independence, morphine, idealism, I think it's been just a wonderful, long journey, sir. Thank you so much for a very thoughtful, expansive, and a wonderful unveiling of your vision of justice. May I request Mr. Ananth Goenka to please present a small memento on behalf of the Express Group to Justice Gogoi. This, sir, is an illustration. It's a portrait of you by our chief illustrator, Shyam Kumar Prasad. So it's drawn specially for you. May I request you to just stay on the stage for a little bit longer? And may I request the founding Vice-Chancellor of the O.P. Jindal Global University, Professor C. Rajkumar, to please come up and deliver the vote of thanks. Thank you.
Good evening to all of you. On behalf of O.P. Jindal Global University and Jindal Global Law School, I would like to express my heartfelt thanks and profound appreciation to Honorable Mr. Justice Ranjan Gogoi, Judge Supreme Court of India, for delivering an inspiring and deeply engaging lecture. Justice Gogoi's lecture on visions of justice, challenging the role of law and institutions at a critical time when the most fundamental notions of justice are under strain both in India and around the world. Rule of law is about people and institutions taking complete responsibility and commitment to adhere to the Constitution and the laws made under it. Justice Gogoi has recognized that there is a symbiotic relationship between the principles of the rule of law and the aspirations of society to achieve justice. In fact, the visions of justice that Justice Gogoi articulated cannot be achieved unless and until all holders of power recognize that they need to follow the law. It is equally important that when the law is violated, accountability is ensured as opposed to impunity. Only consistent adherence to the rule of law can help us build a society based on the rule of law. And for that purpose, we need both independent journalists and noisy judges. The victims of justice that Justice Gogoi so compellingly spoke about can be achieved only if we are able to create a sense of collective consciousness in adhering to those notions and help ameliorate the victims of justice that are being faced. The faith of people in the rule of law and its recognition will depend upon our ability to advance the cause of justice. In this country, we pride ourselves on the strength of the Indian democracy. But as Justice Gogoi observed, we need to recognize that democracy, rule of law, and justice are deeply interconnected, and a threat to any one of these principles will fundamentally affect and will be a direct affront to the vision of justice that we hope to achieve. I am grateful to Justice Gogoi for delivering this thought-provoking lecture as a tribute to an extraordinary individual, Mr. Ramnath Goenka. Mr. Goenka's steadfast passion and commitment and dedication to nation building was reflected in everything he did in his life. Mr. Goenka was a distinguished member of the 5th Lok Sabha during 1971-77, representing Vidisha constituency of Madhya Pradesh. Earlier, he had been a member of the Constituent Assembly and also a member of the Provisional Parliament. Prior to that, he was also a member of the Madras Legislative Council during 1926-30. What an extraordinary journey that he had. Upon his demise in 1991, a tribute was made in the Indian Parliament, and I quote, "In his death, the nation has lost a dynamic personality and a relentless crusader of freedom of the press and the democratic values. His incomparable services to the nation during the freedom struggle and later to journalism will be remembered for a long time to come," unquote. Many of us in this room will know about the inspiring contributions of Mr. Goenka in spearheading the values of independent journalism, and the Indian Express Group itself is a testament to his deeply held values of honesty, integrity, and rectitude. But it needs to be said that Mr. Goenka reflected these values even as a distinguished member of the Constituent Assembly. During a debate relating to taxation on advertisements published in newspapers that took place in the Constituent Assembly on 9 September 1949, Mr. Goenka observed, and I quote, "So far as I am concerned, I am not proud of the fact that this entry finds a place in the central list. In fact, this taxation had been condemned as far as 150 years back in the advanced democracies of the world. There is no constitution in the world where such an entry of taxation of newspapers exists. I am one of those who will say that newspapers are not money-making propositions. I will say that newspapers are there to serve the public and give them a free flow of information. I am one of those who will go the whole hog and say that newspapers should not be allowed to make any considerable sums of money," unquote. He was a daring person far ahead of his time. As I end my concluding remarks, I would like to thank all the dignitaries present here today on this occasion who responded to our invitation and participated in this lecture. Participation of civil society in strengthening the democratic fabric of our nation is the only way by which we can achieve the visions of justice that Justice Gogoi articulated. I would like to take this opportunity to thank the management and leadership of the Indian Express Group, Mr. Ramnath Goenka, the Executive Director, the Chief Editor, Mr. Raghuram Rajan, and Resident Editor, Ms. Seema Chisti, and all the staff of the Indian Express, and also the faculty members and staff of OP Jindal Global University for making the Ramnath Goenka Memorial Lecture a memorable event. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much for the thank you note, and thank you all of you for being here with us this evening and for being a very warm and receptive audience. And no cell phones rang. Thank you so much. Thank you, sir.